So when you open SolidWorks, you're gonna have something like this. I had accidentally clicked out. If you do that, just come up to on the right hand side to SolidWorks resources, and then grab the Welcome to SolidWorks button. So you're gonna come into a part file, and we're gonna get into assemblies and drawings later on. You're gonna come into a part file, so just go ahead and click part. You only have to click it once, and you're gonna see something like this. So up at the top, this is kind of familiar, probably similar to what we had in AutoCAD, except a little bit more streamlined. And there are different tabs in our ribbon. So we've got the Features tab, and we'll use these to turn our sketches into three-dimensional shapes. We have the Sketch tab. This is for drawing in 2 dimensions, just like we did in AutoCAD. And then you may or may not have surfaces and sheet metal on there already. They could be turned on and off just by right-clicking one of the tabs here and just adding them in. So you may or may not have those yet. And then we will not in this class be using the Evaluate or Dim Expert or any of the SolidWorks add-ons. If you go into the next level of CAD, then you will be using some of these tools. But for our class, we're just going to be sticking with really these first 4 here: Features, Sketch, Surfaces, and Sheet Metal. So for the new stuff is this thing over here on the left-hand side. This is called the feature tree. And the feature tree, as we get farther into class, you'll be able to, or I'll explain this even, in much greater detail, obviously, and I'll keep kind of coming over here and looking at how our files are organized. But basically, in a nutshell, as you create sketches, they'll show up above this line. For example, and I'm going to explain these planes here in a sec. So if I go into the front plane, click on Sketch, it kind of centers me up here. And then I can go in here and create a circle there on the front plane, so we can see that that's on the front plane. And then I'll click Exit Sketch, and now we have a sketch. Sketch 1 is above the line. So now if I click on the top plane, and there's when you click anywhere, when you click on something that is clickable, this little menu will pop up, and it has some quick options. So I can click Sketch here, or I can come up to the top left and click Sketch there. And then I can draw another sketch. Maybe I'll draw a rectangle right here on the top plane, click Exit Sketch, and then we have Sketch 1, and then we have Sketch 2. So if I take this line and drag it up above Sketch 2, for example, this line is basically the end of what's visible. So sometimes if you want to do what's called suppressing a sketch or suppressing a feature, kind of rolling things back, you can take this line and just hold it and just kind of drag it up. And you see how that rectangle disappears when I drag it up. Then if I create another sketch, and this is not something you need to know necessarily, I'm just trying to explain how this whole thing works. So if I create another sketch, for example, on the right plane, Exit Sketch, see now Sketch 3 will go below Sketch 1, and then I can drag this down, and Sketch 2 is now below Sketch 3. So there's, like I said, there's going to be a lot more instruction on this. I'm just kind of trying to explain how this feature tree ends up working. So if I could turn these off for now, they're kind of annoying. All right, so this is looking a little bit convoluted right now, but just to kind of show you how the features work before we get into everything, if I click on Sketch 2, for example, and then I come over to my Features tab, and I click on Extrude Boss Base, now it gives me an option over here on the left-hand side. The feature tree's gone away. The feature tree is right here, the Feature Manager, and you can't click on it right now when we're inside of a feature, but that's where it is. So now we are in the Property Manager. So inside the Property Manager, I can go in here and make this 1 inch, for example. There we go. Click OK. And now my sketch has become a feature, and see how this starts to become kind of like a tree. The more features I have, the more drop downs that I will have here. So everything gets nested really nicely underneath everything else, and then this helps you build your parts in a really organized way. So for example, if I did the same thing on Sketch 1, I'm going to go ahead and just drag this out. There we go. And then I could do the same thing over here. Extrude that guy. Maybe I'll go out the other direction. Click OK. So now I have 3 solid shapes, and I have 3 pieces of information inside my feature tree. So that's just a little bit about how that works. And then all of your tools for utilizing features and utilizing sketches are all up in here. Another thing I'd like to show you, when you guys first come in, you're gonna have this file through help up here in the top. And what I want you to do is click. Or I'm sorry, this is what it's gonna be. It's gonna be this little home button and all this save stuff. So if you just like hover over that little tab, this little arrow, hover over it, and then come all the way over here and click this pin, and then everything will be visible and it'll like pin that open. Personally, I think this is kind of ridiculous. I don't understand why they would even make that an option. Everything should just be there anyways. But anyways, it makes it nice to just pin this stuff open like that. So let's see. So another thing I'd like to talk to you guys about before we go ahead and get started with everything is up here in the View tab under Hide and Show. This is all information, and a lot of this is stuff that we don't really have to worry about too much. But for example, this origin, see if I turn that on and off, that origin is actually is going to just be the center of, it's going to be the center of either your entire file, or it's going to be the center of mass for different sketches or different parts. So when you do, if you're seeing something or not seeing something when you go ahead and plot your part, and we'll get into this later too, it may be because something is hidden or shown in here that you maybe don't want to have in there. So like I said, we're going to get more into this later on, but for right this second, we don't have to worry too much about it. Let's see, so I'm going to go ahead and just like delete all of this stuff. Yes to all. And I'm going to delete these sketches as well. Yes to all. Okay. Now, I guess maybe I shouldn't have done that here. Let me do this. Let me do something like this. And I'm going to extrude that out a little bit. Nice. Okay. So, and then unlike in AutoCAD, plotting in SolidWorks is pretty straightforward. All I have to do to plot this is to come with the file. And well, first I have to save it. So let me save it out. I'll just put it on my desktop as example. Desktop example. And then I can make drawing from part. Go ahead and click that. And I'm going to browse down to my title block. I'm going to give you a copy of the title block. Don't worry. Click OK. And then over here on the right hand side, I can come in and just drag in my front view. And then if I just don't click anything, after you click once, just let it go. And then if you drag up, there's your top view. And then you drag to the right, that's your right view. And then you can even drag up diagonally, and that will give you a 3-dimensional view. And you could maybe position these kind of wherever you want. And what's nice about this is if you grab this view here that I have just selected, this is called the parent view, and these are the child views. So these two views here are linked to this main parent view, and this is where we are here. So boom, but if I just move this one, I can only go up and down. See, I can't go left and right. And then these isometric views, these can move. These are not linked. These can go pretty much wherever. And it's one of those things that if you say, for example, you clicked escape, oops. If you clicked escape before you put the right view out, it's not the end of the world. We just click the view here, and then up in the feature tree for view layout, when you're in a drawing, the feature trees or the ribbon's a little bit different here. You click projected view, and then you now have the ability to create new projected views that are linked. There we go. I guess the only other thing in the drawings I'd like to show you right this second are, so right here, if I click on this view, for example, this is a hidden lines removed view. So in display style here, if I click hidden lines visible, Boom, now it gives me my hidden lines. So remember I said we're not going to have to worry too much about hidden lines, center lines, that kind of thing in SolidWorks because we have the ability to just put them in. Now if I want a shaded view, I can come in here, click shaded with edges, and there we go. Now I have a piece that has has some actual color, has some texture to it. And then furthermore, on top of that, I can, well, actually, you know what, I'd have to do it in the three-dimensional part. So I'll talk about doing appearances and different textures and stuff like that in a different video. So there we go. I think that's it for the basics. Now, if you just, so that's good to get started here in SolidWorks. I will create a video on making the title block, or getting the title block in here and saving it so that it's really easy to find and everything like that. And stay tuned for Lab 6, Sheet 1, and Sheet 2. Thanks very much. See you in the next